Therese clinic. We are New Mexico's only completely free clinic, and we are so very excited to be joined by some very special guests this evening. We are co-hosting this with Solidarity Engineering. If y'all can give a little wave if you're part of the Solidarity team. And so we're doing this. Solidarity has been really brilliant and great at kind of highlighting so many important things for Women's History Month, including the importance of women's health during migration and the challenges that women face in particular, but also highlighting some of the success stories and the importance of the work that they're doing. I know here at Via Therese Catholic Clinic, we serve a big variety of populations, and a lot of the work that we do is really built on a bedrock of success of what you guys do on the border and beyond. And so I want to just thank you for the advocacy that you guys provide to so many people. I know you have a really special guest with us that we're going to invite to the panel. We're going to play a video during this segment about the importance of continuing that work in women's health in particular once a migrant is in the United States. And then, of course, we are joined by the wonderful, I just can't say enough good things about her. The fabulous, renowned, my hero, Dr. Anne Catherine Goodman from Mass Gen, who is just an incredible asset to, I know, the organizations that we've worked with in the past. Just a tireless advocate for just fundamental human rights, but in particular, women's rights and women's health. And I'll let her introduce herself and explain why she's such a fantastic addition to this panel this evening. But first, I want to pass it over to Erin and let her talk a little bit about Solidarity Engineering, and the importance of us recognizing Women's History Month and what we're doing here. So, Erin?
They can help us. So we have been paying a psychiatrist. Thank God that we found one, uh, and they're all under control right now. Thank God. Uh, but we do help them with shelter. We help the people with shelter. We help them with food. We help them with medication. Right now, we also are helping the people that are coming from the deport people that have been deported. We're also helping them get on their feet, get all the documents again, because most of them are coming without documents. So we are helping all those cases also.
Well, that's wonderful, Lulu. And I thank you so much again for that work. It's incredible. And, having been there, I was there for 2.5 years. And I know, yeah, I was down the road in Matamoros. I know you're in Reynosa, but the impact that you have is incredible. And without the resources that you provide, is it true that most of these individuals just wouldn't get these services? Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, it was very hard at the beginning because it's not that they don't want to give the services, but most of the hospitals here in Mexico, they don't have the equipment, the medications. I mean, nothing. So, in order for them, if we take someone that's gonna have a surgery, we just took someone like a couple of days ago. We had to take everything. I mean, they won't do the surgery if you don't take the medication, and it's really hard for us because it's not like we have the funds to go and just buy whatever they need. I mean, it's very hard, but one way or another, we make it.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah, I remember, yeah, it was a similar circumstance, in Matamoros, obviously just down the road. And so I can empathize with what you're saying because, even if the local hospital sometimes they can't provide what's needed, or they can provide it, but they won't, or there are barriers to it. And so it becomes very complex and difficult, especially for these individuals who may be in a second or third foreign country. They may not understand how things work. It gets very difficult. So your navigation and helping them is really important. Can you explain the need for small shelters like yours? We know that there are other large shelters, but I think it's particularly striking and so important to highlight why shelters like yours are needed, even when there are large shelters, because the work that you do is unique and so specific and so important. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Right now, one of the things is that it's been very difficult with food, most food, because we are helping also not only the people in here in the shelters that we have, but also we are helping the all the migrants that are outside of the shelters. So most of them, there's a lot of homeless people, migrants that they don't have a place, and or they're just coming in. So we are giving food to all these people, and they're coming every single day. So it's very hard for us to to have everything that we need. We also need medication because we have doctors and everything, but they'll give them the prescription, and how are they going to buy the medication if we don't buy it? So
Right.
that's another very, very important thing that we really need: medication, and the biggest thing is food and medication. Of course, also there's a big, big problem on when you take them to the hospital. They'll ask for how do you say, estudios,
Oh, like blood exams.
blood exams,
Mhm.
X-rays, sonograms, all MRIs, and how are going to pay like 7,000, 8,000 pesos? But sometimes we have to, in order for them to give them a diagnosis and then give them the medication. So it is very hard for us to
Right.
uh,
Right.
to do all that.
That's incredible. Well, I know you guys do it day in and day out, and it truly saves lives. And beyond that, it makes people's quality of life so much better. And you're giving them dignity. You're restoring dignity to a place that sometimes they feel like they've lost it because of inhumane policy, why they're there, why they can't get to their family. So thank you so much, Lulu. Now,
Thank you.
I have a really cool, I didn't know this, but if you can talk to us a little bit, I hear you've had a little bit of a recent expansion, and I might mess up the name, but it sounds like it's Casa Palafox. Is that correct?
Okay. Well, it's that we started with that house. We used to call it Haiti House
Okay.
because they were all Haitians. So it's Casa Palafox because the name of the street is Palafox, but it was called a Haiti House because it was most of them were Haitians. Right now, there's not that many Haitians. So we do have people from Ecuador, Guatemala, El Salvador. We have from Mexico and Venezuela. We have people from everywhere, but we have people in Palafox and Casa Haiti, and then we have also people in Casa Clinica. So it's two houses there that we have with our families.
Awesome. Wonderful. Now, I remember when I was there a couple years ago, Solidarity, obviously super fundamental, super big player on the ground. They make a lot of things happen. They get a lot of work done. Can we also just take a second to give a shout out to Solidarity Engineering because they are a women-founded, women-led organization just making like tremendous world changing, I'm not being dramatic, just tremendous world changing impacts on the ground. Anywhere you see them, where they've left their mark, it's just incredible. And, like I said, women founded, women led. Their core principles are just so fundamental to who we are as people, how we treat other people. They understand the importance of sanitation and in engineering, and I mean things as simple that we take for granted in the United States as a playground, and they implement these things for children who don't have access to these types of resources, and they actualize the impact that these types of things make. I know they have some projects coming up at Casa Lulu and Palafox. Can you explain to us why the work that Solidarity does in conjunction with your organization, why it's so important?
Okay, so they have been helping us so much. The first thing that it's the main uh, I don't know how to say the words, but the main thing of everything is water, purified water. It was very hard for us having almost 150 people in here. Um, Buying water every single day. We had to go and fill up those big bottles, the I don't know, the big containers, and each one you don't even know how much it cost. So we were like spending like you can't imagine like 30, 40 of those daily, and it was very hard for us getting money from what we had to buy for food, paying water, and I mean, so Solidarity came, and now they come and fill up those big tanks from Casa Clinica and then also Casa Palafox. So I give thanks like you cannot imagine.
Yeah.
And then right now they're also doing several projects, and one of them they're opening another bathroom on the second floor, that we really needed that one for the people because it was very hard for them. um, so right now they're almost finished, so we're very happy about that also. And we also have other projects that we already talked about, and we hope everything well, uh, how do you say that everything comes together
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
absolutely.
for the
Well,
good of every family here.
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you for that, Lulu. I really appreciate it.
And I really appreciate everything that you all have done.
Well,
We appreciate you. Honestly, like you're doing the legwork of allowing people to stay at these shelters and when you need support for water or for fixing and repairing and opening another bathroom or building a shade structure, an outdoor kitchen in at your locations. um it's kind of the least that we can do. You are doing so much, Lulu, and so the
Thank you.
fact that Solidarity Engineering can support you and Casa Clinica, Lulu, and Casa Palafolks, where you have consistently, year after year, month after month, taken in the absolute most vulnerable people. You take in women and children. You take in people with medical conditions that would not get any care anywhere else. And I've always just been like really impressed with the fact that you treat every single person with such importance. Like this person, you call in all of your favors for someone that you've just met. Um, and that is just so admirable. So,
Thank you.
that's amazing. Really, truly amazing. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because Lulu, I want you to answer this question too, but I think it's a really good moment to say, why the heck am I, a man, hosting this panel? But I just want to say real quick, I think I work in this really unique space, right? Where I am so fortunate to work among so many incredibly strong, brave women advocates. There are so many women who are leading so many of these wonderful causes. They really are. And so many of these organizations are now women led, which I love. I think it's incredible. The clinic I work for here, via Therese, was actually founded by in part by the Sisters of Loretto. But we've watched over the years that more and more women are stepping up into this space and leading these organizations and leading the way to change. So I want to ask all three of you, Lulu, Aaron, and Dr. A.K. Goodman, one at a time. I don't care who goes first. I'll call on Aaron first. Why are women leading in this space?
Ooh, I know. What a question. Why are women leading in this space? I mean, I think that when I have from solidarity, I ended up just showing up, right? There was a need. And at the time I didn't think anything of it. And actually I met my two co-founders and we're all women engineers. And we were the only engineers to show up. And yeah, it kind of fell into our lap that we were going to be this women-founded engineering group. But it's interesting because in a lot of these spaces, women who tend to um, be the ones who are in charge of the children and have a lot of extra needs than and different needs than the men, right? We have to worry about pregnancy, we have to worry about sexual assault, we have to worry about our children, we have to worry about our menstrual cycles. We have to worry about so much additional things. And a lot of times our voices just aren't heard. Um, and the migrant women, their voices aren't heard so much. So being women leaders in this space, I think has helped the migrant women, the asylum seeker women, feel more comfortable coming to us with concerns and with feedback. So it has really helped to make our projects even better. So I'm gonna
That's
pass it to Lulu if Lulu wants to.
yeah. Lulu, I'll ask the same question. There are a lot of women-led organizations doing this work. Why do you think that is?
I think we're stronger than men.
Oh, you're dang right you are.
Yes.
Yep.
No, I think, well, me in particular, I think I'm a very strong woman, and I'm not scared of, I mean, of, I don't know how to say it, but I I don't really fear for anything. I'm like, I'm so strong and I'm so positive and I'm so, I just feel that nothing can stop me. So, of what I want and I need.
That's
So,
awesome. That's amazing. And
that's
finally, to you, Dr. Goodman, what's your take on this?
Well, it's a great question. And I guess I would start by saying that I hope for a world that's non-gendered in terms of who leads and who has the skill set to create and do good work. So that would be our ideal. I think that probably there is a tendency, and again, this is very generalized, and there's going to be a million uh, exceptions, that girls and boys are raised differently, and we're raised where we're rewarded for different skill sets. So boys are rewarded for being in your face and being out there getting the goal on the field, and being dominant. And again, this is very generalized, and clearly that's not the case for many people who identify as male, but that there is this tendency to reward that. And girls, on the other hand, are punished. Sorry, my dog. Girls are punished for those same attributes, but what girls are rewarded for is reading the room, is doing collaborative listening. And what happens is that you end up problem solving in different ways. And I see that as adults. I'm a surgeon, and I sort of see in the operating room as sort of a microcosm of the world, this sort of play out in terms of different skill sets. So that would be my one thought, is that leads to that. My other thought is on a totally different frame, which gets back to sort of what you see, Lulu. You're, by the way, a saint, and I admire you. And Solidarity Engineering, oh my God, you guys are amazing. It is the issue of fear, is that I think as women, we understand fear on a deep, deep level of, crossing the street when you see a bunch of dudes like gathered on the sidewalk and you're like, bad, dangerous, could get hurt, could get gang raped, and you have this personal, deep, kind of visceral understanding of fear. And when you are in a position of having some ability to articulate that, the skill set plus the fear leads to wanting to advocate and help others. And that ends up sort of driving you, in a gendered way. So that would be my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go back to Lulu because I have some questions in particular about women's health so we can move forward thank you, Dr. Goodman, and move forward into kind of more specific women's health type things. Lulu, what are some of the things that you're realizing that you have realized or recognized over the last couple of years and throughout your work that women are really having to deal with that makes that we should be aware of that we can support them in when it comes to migrants and women and their health.
Well, here, in particular, here where when they get here to our clinic, I mean, there are the most vulnerable cases, and I don't know if I can say this, but most of the people that we have received here are coming from uh, sexual abuse by on their way getting here to Mexico, uh, and inside Mexico also. Sorry for saying this. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but it's the truth. So I mean, having to deal with all this, it has been like a big I don't know if it's the correct word, challenge. It's been very hard for us to look for the help, and in every way, like in psychologists, psychiatrists, and medications that they need, taking them to the clinics where they're supposed to go, because a lot of them, I mean, you can't imagine all the things that happen when something like that happened to the women. Many of them are um, how do you say the word they contagious because of the situations that they pass. So it's not easy for the women that come in here, and that's why not only when they get here, that's why we look for help once they were crossing to the United States, also with partners like you all, where they would continue receiving the help.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a challenge and this is why this panel is so important. We, never apologize for speaking truth to power, and people need to know the reality of what our brothers and sisters are dealing with, what they have to go through, what they face. And so um I appreciate the fact that you bring that to light because it reminds us the gravity of the situation, but it also gives us a chance to say thank you to you, Lulu, because with each person that you interact with, each person that you contact, you end up carrying a little bit of that weight on your shoulders too. And, Dr. Goodman said it best, you're a saint. And what you do is so important. And I know it changes the way that I see the world because of the compassion that you give, because of the passion that you give, because of the love and empathy that you give. And so on behalf of me and my team, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, thank you because you take that weight and you put it on yourselves and you say, I'm going to help these women. They've gone through the unthinkable. I'm going to help them. Just do what I can to restore dignity, treat them with love and respect. And that there is no, in my opinion, there is no higher calling. So thank you for what you do, Lulu. I really,
Thank
really
you.
can't express how impactful it is. And I adore you, and I thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, that brings up a good segue to Dr. Goodman, because Dr. Goodman, my goodness, you have an incredible story about I mean, you specialize in women's health. Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about your background and just, well, you know how I feel about you. I love you to pieces as well. So give us a little bit about your background and your connection to women's health.
Well, first of all, you are too kind. Sorry, I have my dogs in the background, but you are too kind, and that's really kind of you to say that. I basically wanted to be a doctor since I was two, and I grew up actually in Asia. I grew up in Tokyo and then Singapore. I came to the United States when I was 15, so I think that sort of influences, who your role models are. I actually um, went to Catholic school, and I wanted to be a nun surgeon when I was a little kid, because the nuns were like the strongest women I'd ever met. They were people who had, come to do work where they did education and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so background. I fast forward, I trained in obstetrics and gynecology, and then decided to subspecialize in cancer surgery. So in my day job in Boston, I take care of women with women's cancers. But what I've learned doing for the past, I would say, 25 years, both disaster work and work internationally, um, is that a lot of what I see, especially cervical cancer, is sort of the end game of not getting care and so forth. So that's just the background. But since September 11th, I've been on the disaster team, and that has led me to be deployed in various disasters. And I got involved in work at the border through the disaster team at my hospital, Massachusetts General Hospital, which has done amazing work. And I am just a small, tiny cog in that amazing group of people who have collaborated with various groups, originally with GRM at the border. And that's how I met Mark. I worked in Matamoros at the clinic there, and then in Reynosa. And so I've had the opportunity there to do work, and in that setting have had the opportunity to bear witness to the women who are migrating and seeking asylum that came to the clinic for healthcare.
Yeah, thank you. And what a great meeting it was, because I've just adored you, and I adore your work. What is it like working in women's health on the border? I know that's a
Yeah.
broad question, but can you give us a little bit of perspective?
So what I was able to bear witness to, so the types of situations that I was able to see were women who were pregnant, and some of them didn't really have any particular issues. They just were pregnant, and it would be really a prenatal visit, and it would be just checking, sort of doing well care. So there's that group. Then there's, of course, pregnancy related concerns such as bleeding or um, issues of nutrition, issues of safety and security that impact being pregnant. So there's that. There's also women I saw who had other gynecologic issues where you worried that they weren't getting cancer screening, they were having abnormal bleeding potentially. What I would say, and I totally what Lulu was saying and what Aaron was saying, I totally resonate, was that ultimately what I learned was that if you just stayed still and listened, whoever it was that was coming and whatever it was that they were saying was the reason they were there, that ultimately underneath it, they had been sexually abused. And I'm going to say close to 100%, is that if you didn't ask the question, Sorry, I'm just going to go hug my dog while we're talking. Um, if you didn't ask the question, you wouldn't necessarily get the response, but ultimately, people came in complaining of pain, and it could be like knee pain, it could be arm pain, it could be a headache. And ultimately, if you just listened long enough, it was what I would call somatization. It was pain related to some deep assault that they had experienced, women who'd been kidnapped, who'd escaped being kidnapped. There was this one woman I saw who'd been pulled in by, I think, cartel in Mexico. And um, this driver was driving so fast it got into an accident and she was ejected from the car and was able to escape. It was that kind of thing. So I ultimately come down to thinking a lot of what you see is related to the consequences of sexual abuse and sexual violence that, in the migrant path.
Wow. Yeah, it is a reality. And I've not been on the border for several years. And you talking about that just reminds me of my own experience and reality with with those same stories there. And you're right. If you don't ask, you often wouldn't. But once you start to dig a little deeper and they share with you, it is. It's a very high percentage of migrants and migrant women that deal with this, and it is just a tragic reality. What were the biggest gaps in healthcare that you've seen at the border? And a follow-up question, because um, when I stopped working in Mexico, I came back home to Santa Fe or to New Mexico, and I thought, some of the things that are gaps in Mexico, who would have thought? But they exist here too. And I've been in healthcare my entire career, but they're just as prominent here in some degree as they are there. What are some of the biggest gaps you've seen in migrant healthcare on the border, and do they exist here?
That's so broad. I mean, I probably, I probably am going to miss a whole bunch, but I would say one would be privacy. So you're working in an environment that's very unprivate. People are telling stories with lots of people listening. One of the things that's interesting in the clinics I worked, especially at Casa Lulu, was that the incredible sympathy and support of other people who were listening in was actually incredibly therapeutic. So that's sort of interesting. But anyway, so privacy was one thing. The other thing was follow up,
Mm.
not knowing if you would ever see this person again. Are they going to be okay? I mean, I'm still haunted by some of the stories, and I wonder about families, and what happened to these people? Are they okay? Did they survive? They were sleeping on the floor in a church someplace, and there was one person on a sidewalk I saw. I mean, are they alive? So not knowing what the follow-up is. Then there's the sort of details of just, do you have the equipment to do the right tests to get the right diagnosis? How many diagnoses did I make that were incorrect because I just really didn't have the same stuff I have in Boston? To your point about Boston, I would say, well, it's a really rough time right now. We have, immigration wandering around, like just snatching people. Yesterday they snatched two fathers who were dropping their kids off at daycare, in one of the neighborhoods in Boston and deported them. I mean, little babies in daycare and their fathers were just snatched and like sent off, no due diligence. I mean, so there's some really, really bad stuff going down right now. I know it's not just Boston, it's all around the country because of the current situation. So it's sort of distracting from the pre-January situation where I think it was just, people trying to get their paperwork in order, people, you know, having the appropriate resources to get off whatever work they had to come and get health care, which I think was the biggest challenge in Boston prior to this current reign of terror that's going on.
Yeah, it is a difficult time. It's incredibly difficult. It's the complexities of what we're having to navigate in the healthcare industry stateside is something I never thought we would see, and I mean that genuinely. I mean, I've not obviously, I'm not a doctor. I've been a paramedic. I've been, involved in healthcare in some way or the other my entire career, and I never thought we'd be at this point. And that brings up my next question. When it comes to women, in particular at this point. When it comes to women who are afraid to get into their communities, to be in public, they're afraid of constraints that may be placed on their healthcare, what they can receive, what they can't receive, what they can even talk about, what they can't talk about. How do we cohesively address healthcare for these women who, in this moment in time, are more afraid than they may have ever been stateside for
Mhm.
whatever reason? How do we address it?
Well, I would also love to hear from the rest of the group, but what I would say is, and this is the conversation we're having in Boston right now among people who are doing immigrant health work, is that we need to, as as healthcare providers, we need to come out with strong statements about supporting our communities, about advocating for healthcare, whoever it is who needs healthcare, not by immigration status. And so there's actually been a document that's being circulated that has been worked on for the past few months and now is being signed, just saying we support healthcare for immigrants and we will provide healthcare for immigrants. And the other thing that's being worked on is the concept of safe spaces, and protecting people when they come into safe spaces. Again, the legality of that, all that stuff is very shifting ground. So we don't know how it's going to work. But that's sort of where the conversation is at the current time in Boston.
Yeah, no, that's so applicable. And I think that it's really important for us to have conversations like this because you are more than half of the country away from me. And here at Via Therese, we're facing the same thing. As you know, we're the only free clinic in the state of New Mexico. We don't ask any questions. We provide care to whoever shows up. We do see, a large portion of patients who are uninsured, underinsured for whatever reason. And we feel an inherent duty at this time to be extra protective, to create that safe space. We know that them putting off their healthcare ultimately increases cost for them. It increases cost for the healthcare system. But more importantly, it produces bad patient outcomes. So, how do we keep on top of that? And I think that that's something that all of us are figuring out together in real time. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Yeah, Clara Lee, I want to bring you in. Clara Lee is our development director, a fantastic woman leader in the nonprofit space for many, many years. So glad to get to work with her. Clara Lee, it's kind of weird. We're all connected in this web of life, right? Where we all met in either Matamoros, Reynosa, and here we are all working together for the same goal. Years later, it hasn't gotten any better. Some could say it's gotten worse. And so, Claire, what are some of the things that you're recognizing? Of course, I could be objective and subjective all day about the things that are happening here at the clinic. What are your thoughts about what we're doing for, particularly for women in this moment, migrant women here at Via Therese? Because, we've talked a little bit about what they face on the border. We've talked a little bit about the healthcare disparities. I wish we had more hours because we could keep going on. But let's bring that stateside to what we do here at Via Therese. What are you noticing? And
Well,
yeah,
well, as AK and you, everyone on the call, Lulu has said, this is just an incredibly difficult for healthcare in general for everyone. Specifically for women, what I have been trying to do for Via Therese is to do a lot of outreach with our partners that mostly serve women and families to try to make sure that they are not only aware of Via Therese and our services, but just to reach out to me because I love to call myself the queen of in kind, to see what are these needs, what do you have, what are your concerns? Casa Familia the other day needed a sling for a woman, so I took her a sling, but just and I think AK said it really well, taking the time to listen to women and all others who are coming through our doors or that we meet on the street or that we're meeting in a shelter and to not just have sympathy or empathy, but to try to understand what they may be feeling, but how can we assist them in making their situation better? And nobody addresses that more than Lulu and Aaron and the people in Solidarity who are down there every single day. But as you said, we have so many of the same concerns here in Santa Fe. I will pass 20 homeless people on the way back to my home this evening. And, I am a little off center sometimes. I will stop and talk to people, see what their needs are, especially in this time when Via Therese is really trying to balance. We want to push getting our name out there and let people know we're here. But at the same time, we don't want to have ICE showing up at our door. How do we how do we balance that by making sure that we know that the problem's there and we want you to come here for assistance? So I think our partnerships, just like these partnerships are important, these local partnerships are incredibly important. And of course, Mark and I have been working on various ways we can expand our services, step 1, step 2, step 10. How can we continue to work our way out into the community? And a safe space is important for everyone, but I do strongly feel that it's incredibly important for women and children, because of the work that we did do down in Mexico to see the different challenges that they are facing. Although, again, I say different challenges, and we see those same challenges here. It just seemed more throughout in the migrant population. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's a really comprehensive way to look at it, and accurate in a lot of ways, always. And I want to thank you for the work you do for all of our patients here at Via Therese. This just feels like a good moment for me to gather all my friends and say thank you for the incredible work that you guys do. Because I mean, just look around. We've got Aaron and we've got Miranda, not on camera, but we've got Dr. Goodman and we've got Lulu and we've got Clara Lee and we've got, I can just see a couple of people on the screen. We've got my friend Taryn, who's a wonderful woman leader. We've got my friend Kate, who volunteered with me in Mexico and then just recently, is interested in volunteering with us here at Via Therese. There are so many incredible, incredible stories of women making a difference. Every single day I see it in my own life. I have nothing but women around me and my staff. Really, honestly, we have so many great providers here in this clinic. I want to take a moment, if you can, Dr. Goodman, and then we'll go around the horn to Aaron and Lulu too. The work that you do, I cannot tell you how important it is. So we talk a lot about the scary times, and times are scary. Things are tough. Things are not, I'll just say it, things are not okay right now. And that makes it worse when you are already making 82 cents on the dollar as compared to a man, and even less if you're a woman of color. So we talk about it being scary and hard, but let's end on some good notes. Dr. A.K. Goodman, Dr. Goodman, I call you A.K. all the time, but I want to address you as Dr. Goodman. Share with us a time or a story, if you can, that you made, your team made an impact on a woman, that we can walk away and say, that's what I aspire to, because the work you do is incredible, and we want these stories to fill us as we get ready to make our way home this evening and back into the world tomorrow.
Do you mean a story from the border?
Yeah, or anywhere across the world. Yeah.
Oh,
Because you've been everywhere.
I mean, well, if it can be from anywhere, I would say that the majority of my international work is in Bangladesh, which is, between India and Myanmar, and is this incredible country, the size of Pennsylvania, but with 170 million people. Very, very densely populated, lots of issues. And I've been working there for close to 20 years on developing sort of infrastructure for cancer care for women. And I guess my story is that I've watched the growth of the local physicians and nurses who have become empowered to help their people and develop cancer wards, and to really change the care of women. in their country and have taught me so much about how I can help them by just listening to them telling me what they need and not telling them what to do. So that's my story from Bangladesh. When I think about the border work that we've done, I mostly just am in awe of, I remember the Mexican physicians who works in the clinic, and think about the time and the amazing skills that they had and how much they taught me watching them care for all those people, for probably not a lot of financial gain, but just very inspirational to me how they learned how to navigate that and still give care. And I think my last point is that today I saw someone in follow-up and she reminded me of something I had said, which is I've sort of been on this rant about how, we're overwhelmed by the fact that there's so much to do and there's so many things that aren't good. But ultimately, each of us has about a half-mile radius of influence. And within that half-mile radius, we can spread kindness and love. And she said, I remember you telling me that. And ever since then, I take $5, I put it on my dashboard, and every day as I'm driving, I see someone and I roll down the window and I give that person $5. And I was like, wow,
Amazing.
that's pretty
Wow.
cool. So
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Before we move on to Aaron, I do want to say if anybody who is joining us wants to put any questions they may have for any of our panelists on the chat or in our Facebook Live, that would be great. We can do that now, and maybe Miranda, you can help me monitor that. But Aaron, give us your woman empowerment story because we're here for it.
Oh man. Well, I have two. My first one is actually, it's not mine. I'm stealing it from my co-founder, Krista, who she used to run our STEM program. And so we teach a STEM class once a week to all the kids. And she used to be the one running it and teaching it.
Could you explain what STEM is to those who may not know?
Yes, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And so now that Save the Children used to be in Reynosa and do consistent classes, but they recently left. And so in some of these spaces, Solidarity, our one class a week is sometimes the only schooling that these kids get. But so Krista had been teaching these STEM classes, and one of the asylum seeker girls came up to her and asked, are you really an engineer? And she was like, yeah, I am. And she's like, I didn't realize that girls could be engineers. Like, you think I can be an engineer when I grow up? And she was like, yes, 100%. Like, how do we? Yes. Like
That's
I just
awesome.
thought that was like so beautiful and sweet.
Yeah.
And then my other kind of little win, I am, I guess recently a new mom. And on our Solidarity's team, we've got two dads, but I'm the first like mom to be on Solidarity Engineering's team. And one thing that there's not a few, there's a lot of things that now have like come rushing to me that I didn't realize before becoming a mom, how important the sizes of diapers are. Super important. You cannot put your baby in a different size diaper and expect them not to be leaking all over the place. Sizing diapers, putting baby changing tables in our bathrooms, that didn't even occur to us before becoming a mom. And so now, like, these little things that we didn't even really think about, I feel like this whole new world has kind of opened up to me and therefore to Solidarity Engineering. And we're able to prioritize these things for the moms in these shelters and camps. So and we've been like thanked for putting the baby changing table in the bathroom, and that's always really nice. So
That's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Lulu, what final words do you have for us before we jump off here tonight to uh, you are the embodiment of women empowering women. You are a, just an amazing woman yourself. So what can you say to the rest of us to keep us going, to encourage us?
Well, I just wanted to say that also some of the women that had here a couple of years ago, now they're calling me to go to their graduations.
Oh,
And I'm gonna
oh,
go. So I'll send you all pictures. So they're graduate. Some of them are graduating in the U.S. side, and they're women, moms of kids that we had here. Not only the kids, but only also moms. So I'm super super happy with that.
that's
And
awesome.
also we have two of them that are working for Red Cross in the U.S. side. So I'm really happy about that also because some of the people that were helping us here now they're helping organizations on the US side. So that makes me very very happy.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that the compassion that you have showed them carries forward in what they're doing now. And I just thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Lulu, and thank you for being here.
Thank you
And
so much.
Aaron, Dr. Goodman, everybody, it's just been an incredible conversation and so important to this moment in time and to those who are who we have the opportunity to help, who we have the opportunity to impact. You guys do it better than anybody else. All of you, everybody that, I mean, from Miranda, who's here setting up this whole broadcast, who, knows way more, infinitely more about how to make all of this happen behind the scenes than I ever would, to Aaron, to Dr. Goodman, to Lulu, to Clara Lee, to all of our friends that are joining. You guys do it better than anybody else. You do. And you keep me going. And you encourage and inspire not only me, but so many people. And I just thank you guys so much for what you do. Unless anybody else has anything to say, this feels like a great moment to go home and celebrate the women in our lives, the women who are doing the work, who are showing up, and as Lulu said, who are stronger than most of the men in our lives, if not all of the men in our lives, who are making an impact, making a difference. You guys are my inspiration. I thank you for being here. And yeah, we're just vamos a trabajar. If there's more work to be done, let's get a good night's sleep and let's listen, love, and follow the lead of the women in our lives who are making a difference.